Pragmatics is a very interesting area of study, especially that if you are kanabitong very observant of conversations of people, how they try to interpret one's uh, utterance or one's communication to another person, then definitely pragmatics is for you. So today we are going to start with one aspect of pragmatics, which is basically context. So I have here our Moodle classroom. So I have uploaded two lecture notes. The first one is from our book. You can read it from our book right here. This one, pages 39. And then we also have here my PowerPoint presentation for today. So after this discussion, I will also be talking about how we are going to do around the reporting that I've assigned to you last time. Okay, so we are going to discuss that later on. But before we proceed, I would like to ask one more time questions. Questions. Ang questions ninyo palihog. Questions, everybody? None?
None para sa ko.
None so far. Okay. Uy, pangutana ka tiri naman kakawala na sabtan.
Anan man wala.
Wala na sabtan? Huh? Sure ba? I made sure that lectures 3 and 4 and 5 are kanang sanay kanang self-study siya because it's a very for me, for my case lang, it's kanang self-study siya because self-reading mo good siya kinahanglan. It does not need to be explained anymore because ang explanation na mismo dato. It's because it's an explanation of the issues and not about some parts or technicalities in pragmatics. So I hope that you were able to understand even a little about that. Okay? So let's go over to a little. Okay, a little. All right, so we are going to start with our topic for today, which is context in pragmatics. So context is in pragmatics is very important since this is where the life of the pragmatics lie under, something like that. Dari nag-base ang pragmatics ba? So without context in understanding meaning, there will be no pragmatics. So let's review a little bit. The term pragmatics was first coined in 1930 by philosopher Morris. It was developed as a subfield of linguistics in 1970s. So it is needed if you want fuller, deeper, and generally more reasonable account of human language behavior. So this is now where we are going to understand why could some people say something like this in a certain kind of situation. So it is a subfield of linguistics which studies the way in which context contributes to meaning, and it studies the factors that govern our choice of language in social interaction and the effects of our choice on others. So basically, broader na siya nga analysis in terms of communication through linguistics. And it also focuses on attention on the user. That's why in the book, it's severally mentioned in the previous chapters that pragmatics is user-oriented, and the context of language use rather on reference, truth, or grammar. So we are going to talk more later, learn more about that on the next or later reports or chapters. So we have here, according to the book that we are using, context is dynamic and not static concept. So it means to say that it is to be understood as the continually changing surroundings in the widest sense that enables the participants in the communication process to interact and in which the linguistic expressions of their interaction become intelligible. So means to say if a context of a conversation or an utterance changes, means to say Dynamic siya means to say it's not static, it's not constant, it changes over time. So let's go over to the view of there is something according to the book. um, Pragmatics focuses more on the user-oriented rather than the grammatical aspect of linguistics. So, because in grammatical manggod, the linguistic elements are described in isolation as syntactic structures or parts of the grammatical paradigm, such as case and tense. Whereas, if we consider pragmatics as user-oriented view of language, this is where we ask how these linguistics elements are used in the context of interaction. So, it's much easier for us if we consider linguistics as understanding other people of how they say things and how they want it to be meant, rather than just a very difficult subfield of linguistics. So it would be much more easier if we look at that bright side of thing. So a view of pragmatics that limits the context to what is grammatically expressed to the inclusion of wider extra-linguistic context has, of course, a big advantage, and it eliminates a number of potentially irrelevant factors from the scope of our investigation. So we really have to kuan. It's like ano man good. There's an example here in our book. Let me show you this one. Like this one here. Let's consider this example sa isa ka mm, sa isa ka kadutang towel dispenser instruction or kanang description siya. So in English mo ni siya ang nakagawas. 9 9 inches maximum loop, and in the translation of that one in Spanish is this one, which is way longer compared to the 3-word description in English. So in one look we could say that ay ang Spanish di ay okay, it uses more words or it's more verbose compared to English, but it's actually not. It's a kind of it matters in terms of the context. Why? In in not to be kanang sa tawagan ni, not to be racial racist rather racist rather, not to be racist, but in most Spanish culture we do not use towel dispenser such as ours in the Philippines. We don't necessarily use towel dispenser in our bathrooms. That's why we need more words to explain or to translate this sentence or this description to this certain kind of language, especially um, Spanish. Nagets ninyo? Kuan man good. For example, if you translate one sentence from English to another language, it will probably cost more words compared to the original one because of context. Okay, for example, in that instance, katong 9 inches maximum loop in English is very understandable in American people because they use towel dispenser and thus they don't need more explanation on the usage of that gadget or that item compared to Spaniards or Spanish culture where in fact they don't use towel dispenser or for example toilet paper dispenser baka ha because we only use tabo to to clean ourselves up after everything. So we need more words, we need more explanation to be able to understand the meaning of that sentence which was translated or which is translated to our language or specifically to that example in Spanish. Okay? So context is very important, especially it matters not just in linguistic but also in different aspects of language and English language, which is also translation and so on. Okay? ¿Entiendes? Sí, señor.
Si, señora.
Questiones. Sí, señora. Okay, question so far. Wala. Wala.
Wala na rest. Or,
Wala so far. Sure ba? Sige na ka, mag-quiz na ko. Charot lang. Bitaw, wala. Sige, let's proceed. Let's go to
Malabas.
let's go to the types of context that we can see or that we can identify in linguistics. So there are four types of context. So pragmatics is the study of contribution of context to the meaning. It has four types. Because context is an utterance consists of speaker, the sentence which is uttered, the act performed in the uttering of sentence, and the hearer. So there are four factors or four people who are involved in context, in understanding context. The first one is the speaker. The next is the sentence, the act performed in the uttering of the sentence, and the hearer, the receiver of the sentence or the utterance. So we have distinguished here four types of context. And for the first one, we have the physical context, which is the location of a given word, the situation in which it is used, as well as timing, and all of which aid proper understanding of the words. So this encompasses what is typically present around the speaker's hearers at the time of communication, what objects are visible where communication is taking place, and so on. So this physical context would refer to, for example, I want that book, which refers to the context of accompanied by pointing. Nabitang kuan, nara dito kana bitang Filipino sign nga kanang katugod kuno ba kana di ba kana si Mudra itudlo bitaw. So that is a physical context for us Filipinos which we use mostly in communication, or di kay kanang musiga mata kuno ba kana di ba musiga ang mata kung dili simod ang itudlo. So that is an example of physical context. Next is epistemic context, which is known by both speaker and the hearer. So this comes from the Greek word episteme, or knowledge, and which also means to place, determine. So this refers to what the speakers know about the world. For example, what background knowledge is shared by the speaker is part of your epistemic knowledge. For example, let's take, for example, the news about the death of Lloyd Cadena. For those who do not know Lloyd Cadena, then possibly that epistemic context is not available to them when the news broke out. Diba? When article news online spread the news about his death, mostly millennials ang nag-react. Kabantay mo? Millennials and not necessarily kanang mga older generations or katong mga bagong tubo karon, because it is because of the epistemic knowledge, and it's based on what speakers know about the world or their shared knowledge of something. The third context is linguistic context. So this refers to what has been said already in the utterance or what has been said before in the conversation. For example, if I begin in a discussion by referring Jane Smith and in the next sentence refer to her as being a top-notch athlete, the linguistic context lets me know that the antecedent or her, the meaning of the word her, is actually the person of the name James Smith. So basically, it's just basic grammar, linguistic context. In writing, we usually do that. If we have two or more people that we're referring to, sometimes her or pronouns do not actually work. So we use actually their real names to be used or pronouns to be used to describe or to identify this antecedent in the sentence. And the last type of context is social context, which refers to the social relationship among speakers and hearer or the social relationship of the people involved in the communication. For example, let's have letter A. To the president, Mr. President, stop bugging me and go home. For example, next, to your friend, I do hereby humbly request that you might endeavor to telephone me with news of your arrival at your domicile when such arrivals occur, or call me when you go home. So there is this social context because what is uttered might mean differently if there is a context. For example, who said this to the president? Mr. President, stop bugging me and go home. Possibly this one is kabit ba siguro ni Mr. President or something like that. No, we don't know that much. So there is a social context to what is being uttered. Kana bitang kabantay mo ng let's say for example, let's have a bad example of kanang social context. For example, catcalling tapos duha mo naglakaw sa dalan. Ang isa chicks ngayon lugar ano ba no lamian ba lamian tapos ikaw nga normal nga Filipino people nga nagskwela sa online class siguro palit og kuan na wala ilis wala iligod something like that, then a man somewhere else catcalled and you both hear it, and then probably kamo man duha nakadung so kamong duha molingi, and then molingi mo sa kinsa nanitsit, and then the social context would be ikaw nga ning lingi nga not intended for you might be kanang tanawon kaniya bang sure ba na bitaw. So there is a social context to that utterance or to that act of utterance kanang catcalling. There is a social context to that, right? So there is a kana bang stereotypical context, social context of catcalling, which is usually done to malamian nga mga katauhan sa dakbayan sa iligan, no? It's something like that. So that's how social context work. So that is the types of those are the types of context that we can distinguish in pragmatics, and that's it. Okay, questions. Sige na, pangutana. Sayon ra kay no. Sayon ra kaayo. Charot. Bitaw, it's very kuan man. Murag mahadlok ra man gud ta sa word nga pragmatics. Pragmatics siya bugat kay siya nga sa ni subfield sa linguistic, pero it's actually very easy for now. Okay, questions everybody. Questions.
Ay,
Naman,
di
ma'am.
discuss ang do kay.
Ha? Zaman. Sa
May di may discuss kay. Dali am day kayo kapag kami magbasa maraming mabuang yang meaning kay siya day kayo.
Ayan, magudi siya. There are texts mango that are conversational and sometimes too kanang kung tao pa na siya ng story bitaw tabil kaayo daghan kay mga etc etchiburichi nga mga kuanya mura din niyang pasabot. So it's very important to choose the information that you would engrave sa imuhang kuan. Actually, it's very easy to read kung kabalo lang ka sa style sa author sa iyang pagsulat. And the book that we are using actually right now is kanang ang author is very tabil gud siya, very talkative siya, maabot siya bisan asa nga mga examples nga pwede ra man tanya storya sa in simple terms lang. So it's very important that we know how to read for the right meaning in what we are reading. Dali raman siya, guys. So matinabangay lang tanong. And you can also use other if you're having a hard time understanding the book that we're using, you can actually use other references which are also relevant and have the same thought and meaning to what we are actually going for. Okay? Sige, mura to siya akong discussion today. It's very easy. Oh, okay. So for the next reporters, which are about implicature and reference, these are relevant to those are relevant to what I'm talking right now, context, because in kuan man good in understanding context, na siya time ang meaning di ay sa sentence or sa utterance could be just a reference and not based on context. Ana siya ba? Kana bitang let's say for example kanang bag best friend bitaw mo dayon kanang inside joke ba, kanang inside joke bitaw, are you familiar with what's an inside joke is? Kanang pag tinanaway lang mo din magkatawa na dayon mong duha tungod sa nahitabo nga something, tapos ang mga tao sa inyong palibot kay weird kaayo ang pananaw sa inyo kay kamurang duha nagkasinabtanay. So there's a difference between context and reference. So we will know about more on that on the next lectures or reportings. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions for our discussion today? Everybody, you can turn on your your videos. Come
Wala
on.
naman siguro ko, ma'am. Ay.
Guwapa pa mo.
Ako daw
I-send
ako
na lang
mamay kay
ng,
Wako Ligo.
Huh?
i-send na lang ng PowerPoint, ma'am. For
Ano
the
siya sa Moodle
Sige.
actually. It,
PowerPoint.
PowerPoint.
it's already in the Moodle. And then this screen
Yes,
recording, I will be posting this one in our Moodle as well para ma-review ninyo siya tanan. Para ma-review po ninyo mga dagway.
Wala ko ta magsugod og reporting.
Next meeting, that's Tuesday, right? I posted the list sa group sa GC nato. So please check them out. The first one is Hesper. Yeah, Hesper is the first reporter. Let's look at that. Kajat lang. Let's see. Okay, this is the one that I posted sa tong GC. Nakita? Kita ra no? Okay, so the first
Yes,
to
ma'am.
report is Hesper for implicature, tapos Cababaros for reference, and so on. So kani si pragmatic principle, si Ganzon o si Gargar, pwede ra mo magtunga ani girl kay sa isa man ni siya ka chapter, so ako lang siyang gitunga. Kani siyang lecture 11, this is just a subtopic sa kani siya kaning sa principle, pragmatic principle nga chapter. But we have to focus on Grecian principle or Grecian theory because it's very important. Okay? Tapos speech acts, and so on and so forth. So that is for our until midterm nga reportings. Okay? Questions? Huh? Napa exam after lecture 6 man ta karon. After lecture 7, lecture 8, pagka lecture 9 mag-exam dayon ta. Lecture 9 mag-exam. Mhm.
Sana all.
Don't worry, the exam will be just a compilation or a review of your quizzes. And I'll change some of that para mahimo siyang easier, mag multiple choice ta, mag modified true or false, not necessarily essay tanan kay hago kay siya sa utok, no? So,
Sila man.
kung mahago mo og buhat, mahago man sad ko og check. Mahago man sad ko og check.
Buntot-buntot pa rin, ma'am.
Multiple choice na lang gud tanan ma'am.
Dili ang burden man gud ana kay dili lang sa inyo sa ko pod mahago po check sa essay. Kay basahon pa biya siya. So, ang essay is pinakadali buhaton nga question pero mas pinakadugay checkan. Ano siya problema niya. Any questions so far? We still have 10 minutes. Wala na.
Ma'am.
Okay, this is now how we're going to conduct our reporting. Sama na, oy. Okay, so this okay, so this is how we're going to do about our reporting. So you can either choose any means. Pwede ka kanang if you're using mobile phones, what we did last summer was that na PowerPoint sa cellphone, tapos the screen recording lang, tapos na voice over sa discussion niya. Bahalag wala yang now. So while nag-present siya sa iyang cellphone, nag-screen recording sa discussion, nag-screen recording at the same time voice record sa iyang discussion. So there are apps available nga you can do that. Okay, so the lecture notes are provided to you using the book, or you can use other materials at the same time. You can just be creative with how you come up with your lecture video. So pwede ka dili mag actual virtual conference like this one, pwede siya recorded para mas lesser burden sa uban sa inyo ha, who are using data only and wala internet, sanay ka ng tawag ng internet. Okay, so you can do that, or you can also do this one, self-recording. If you have your laptops, computer, you can use the download Zoom, tapos i-record lang nini mo siya. Makita na din mo ma-share nimo imong screen at the same time makita nimong noun, same time ma-record imong voice. You can download it and then upload it somewhere, share the link to me or send the video to me through Gmail, tapos ako mag-upload sa page or sa YouTube para dali siya ma-access sa atong Moodle because we cannot download or we cannot upload full video gyud sa Moodle. We can just share the link. Okay. Mag-crash na gali karon pa lang ang Moodle nga wala kayo siya mga sa need data kayo. How much more if we could pansakan siya tanag video tanan, so we can just upload it somewhere else, copy the link, and then that's where we're gonna watch the video. Okay, so ana lang siya. So what you have to worry about is the lecture video lang or reporting video ninyo. So you can use any modes as long as discussion siya, or you can also opt for magkuhan ko actual lang ko actual video recording actual virtual conference rather. Okay? Wanas na dilo
Yes,
bago
ma'am.
pagali. Bago pagali warag kuan. Sige, pangutana pa. None so far?
Wala ra ka
Okay.
na lockdown dira, ma'am.
Ah,
Ako ka-meeting.
okay raman, okay ra. Okay. May makagawas-gawas man pod gyapon basta mga emergency lang. Pero kapoy kaayo giduog ko mag-hike. Pastilan.
Sa ilang ila ay sa Villaverde gyapon ka, ma'am.
Oo, dari dapit sa pula. Kinalasan nga
Ah.
pula. So bisan asa ko moagi dato sa likod or dari sa mall, layo gyapon ko hike kanan. So maniwang naon ta ko no.
Sige, ma'am. Orat na, ma'am, ay.
Sige. Unsa pa man? If you're by the way, if you're using another reference which is you think more useful for your report, also inform me so that I can also share that to our Moodle classroom para tanan maka-access pod. Okay? Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. Do not hesitate to ask me
Yes.
questions nga, ma'am, sakto niya akong gibuhat, ma'am, sakto niya akong topic, ma'am, sakto niya akong PowerPoint before you make the video recording baka ha or screen recording para sakto siya, pasok sa banga ang inyong topic nga i-discuss. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what else? What else? What else? What else? Wala na, sige. Okay, after this virtual conference, please do and answer the quiz. Just take note of the deadline or when will the quiz close, and then please also take note of the assignment. Do it as much as possible on your free time. And the deadline, I think, is before the next meeting. So you still have a lot of time to do it. Okay, so pwede siya ma-extend. Kamu na'y bahala sa, it's your prerogative. When are you going to submit it, as long as dili mo makalimot og submit. Ana lang. Okay? Okay pa sa all right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming here today. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Please do take care always. Be positive. Ayaw lang sa COVID, but be positive in life. Bye-bye.
Ah.